I don't think you're good in the air.
Is this a problem then, no acceleration?
It's a problem if you're talking about world-class players.
There's stacks of players that have got no acceleration.
Alan Ball hasn't got any acceleration.
He wore a fedora like it meant something, lit cigars in changing rooms, stared down journalists like they were children. He walked into clubs like a man who knew, not guessed, that history would bend to him. Malcolm Allison didn't ask for permission. He didn't ask to be liked. He didn't even ask to win. He demanded it, and if he didn't get it, he made sure no one else did either. He gave Manchester City its golden era. He brought silverware, style, European nights, but he also brought tension, division, pain that outlived the medals. He turned training into war drills, turned player loyalty into chess moves, turned talent into headlines. And when it all cracked, he didn't retreat. He accelerated. He mocked his own legends in public, sold fan favorites behind closed doors, backed a record signing that detonated the dressing room. And when the stands began to whisper, he gave them cigars and silence. This isn't about nostalgia. This isn't about respect. This is about the 5 men who couldn't forgive him. 5 names carved into the fallout. 5 careers touched by fire. Subscribe if you're tired of hearing only what they want remembered. This is what football tried to erase. He made football beautiful, then made it bleed. He wanted a star, someone who could turn matches into theatre, someone who played with arrogance. Because that's how Malcolm saw the world. So he brought in Rodney Marsh, a dribbler, a provocateur, a man who played with a smirk. March 1972. City were flying high, top of the table, balanced, ruthless, cold. And then came the chaos. Marsh didn't obey tactics. He danced through systems. Allison adored that, at first. But soon, brilliance became defiance, and defiance became friction. The dressing room shifted. The flow collapsed. The goals dried up. The title was lost. Marsh had style, but the team lost its soul. And Allison wouldn't take the blame. He turned away from the fallout. Let Marsh carry the whispers. Let the fans split into camps. Let the media circle like vultures. But Marsh, he still remembered. Malcolm was a genius, but he could fall off the edge of genius into madness. Rodney Marsh. That's not a compliment, that's a warning. From a man who saw too much behind the smoke. Their connection burned bright. Then it burned down everything around them. And when Allison walked away, Marsh filed a transfer request. Not out of anger, out of survival. He had come to dazzle, but walked out scarred. Because when Malcolm Allison bought freedom, he never let it out of the cage. Before he signed him, Malcolm said it. Cold, loud, calculated. Can't head it, can't tackle, can't pass, hopeless. He didn't believe it, but he knew others would. It was bait, it was manipulation, and it worked. City bought Colin Bell £45,000, and what they got was the soul of a generation. Bell didn't talk, didn't pose, didn't bite back. He just ran and never stopped running. He turned midfield into a battlefield, turned silence into power, turned doubt into a trophy cabinet. But the damage was done. Malcolm's words had stuck. Not in headlines, in memory. Years later, when the smoke had cleared, one teammate said quietly, "Colin never forgot what Malcolm called him. He forgave, but it stayed in his bones." Those weren't Bell's words. He would have never said them. But everyone who stood beside him felt the chill behind his eyes. Malcolm never apologized, because in his mind, greatness didn't need comfort, only control. He built Bell into a weapon, but Bell was a man, not a machine. And while the fans called him Nijinsky, inside he carried one truth. The man who made him was the first man who cut him. He was the golden boy. Blonde hair, fast feet, homegrown, City's pride, a winger made in the stands, not in the boardroom. Peter Barnes didn't beg for the spotlight. He earned it. He made fans believe again. He made the Kippax roar. And then Malcolm came back. 1979. Swagger in his step, chaos in his coat pocket. And the first thing he did was sell Peter Barnes. No warning, no farewell, just a line on a piece of paper. Gone. The fans were stunned. The dressing room was stunned. And Barnes? He kept quiet. But years later, the truth slipped. I didn't want to leave. I was shocked. I felt thrown away. That wasn't a transfer. It was a betrayal. A cold, calculated message from a man who believed loyalty was optional. Malcolm said he was rebuilding the team, but to the fans, it looked like he was tearing up its soul. Barnes had given everything. He made magic in sky blue, but magic didn't matter to Malcolm unless he created it himself. So he cut him, sold him, erased him from the plan. And City, they lost more than a winger. They lost the joy in their football, they lost the trust in their manager. And they never really got it back. Because when you discard your heroes, you make enemies in the stands. If Peter Barnes was the pride, Gary Owen was the pulse. Tough, sharp, loyal. A kid from the academy who played like a veteran. A midfielder who ran through walls and made the badge mean something. He never wanted glamour, he wanted City to win. And City loved him for it. But when Malcolm came back, it wasn't a reunion. It was an execution. First Barnes, then Owen. Two fan favorites, gone without warning. No goodbyes, no grace, just strategy, cold, merciless, and brutal. Malcolm said it was about the future, a rebuild, a reset. But no one saw future in those decisions, only blood on the floor. Owen held his tongue for years, but the pain sat under the surface. It felt like betrayal. 1 minute I was in, the next I was an afterthought. It wasn't just the player they sold, it was the message they sent. No loyalty, no memory, just numbers, just control. The fans didn't take it quietly. The stands turned, the songs changed, the trust was gone. And when Owen left, he didn't slam the door. He left it open just enough to show the hurt inside. He should have been a club legend. Instead, he became another casualty in Malcolm's second war. And the worst part? It didn't have to happen. It was meant to be a masterstroke, a headline, a flex. Malcolm Allison returned to Manchester City in 1979 and demanded a star, a statement signing, something to show the world he was still in control. So they signed Steve Daly for £1.437 million, a British transfer record. But this wasn't just a deal, it was an explosion. And the fire hit everyone. Daley wasn't ready, not for the price, not for the pressure, not for what Malcolm needed him to be. And when the media turned, they didn't just mock the player, they buried the manager. The fee became a national punchline. City crumbled on the pitch. And the man who had once reinvented English football was now the face of its biggest disaster. Allison blamed the board, said he never agreed to the price, said he offered 300k, and they paid 5 times that, but no one cared. Because in football, you don't get to sign the bomb and walk away from the blast. Steve Daly never recovered. His career haunted by a number. His name turned into a cautionary tale. And Allison, he never signed a player like that again, because he never got the chance. That transfer didn't just kill a season, it killed his authority, his magic, his myth. You can survive controversy, you can survive betrayal, but once money turns on you, you're finished. He didn't dress like a manager. He didn't act like one either. While others wore tracksuits and quiet pride, he walked through football in silk shirts, wide collars, and a fedora tilted like he knew something you didn't. Cigars in his hand, rumors in the press, and always attention. In 1976, that attention turned nuclear. He was photographed, naked in a team bath, alongside glamour model Fiona Richmond. One arm around her, the other around a cigar. It hit the front page. The tabloids laughed. The league did not. The FA charged him with bringing the game into disrepute. No suspension, no fine, just a shadow. From that day forward, he wasn't just a football manager. He was the bath photo, the controversy, the distraction. It followed him. Boardrooms closed faster, offers slowed. Whispers started louder than before. The man who once taught English football how to train, how to move, how to win in Europe, was now the punchline of a press obsession. He never explained it, never walked it back. He just carried on, louder. But from that moment, he was no longer the genius with flair. He was the risk. And risks don't get the big jobs. Risks don't get redemption. That image never left the public. And it never left him either. Malcolm didn't leave quietly. Not from clubs, not from boardrooms, not from people's memories. Because wherever he went, he left someone furious behind. At Manchester City, he fell out with Peter Swales, not just over transfers, but over vision, control, identity. Swales wanted structure. Malcolm wanted chaos that worked. The boardroom split into two sides. Neither forgave the other. Then came John Bond, the man who replaced him. The press tried to play it safe. Malcolm didn't. He's blackened my name. Even my wives are upset. Those weren't headlines. Those were open wounds. The kind of wounds you don't hear unless someone feels erased. At Crystal Palace, same thing. He brought swagger. They wanted silence. At Middlesbrough, brief spell. Too much resistance. Too much Malcolm. At Sporting Lisbon, he won a league and a cup. But even trophies couldn't protect him from his own fire. He didn't last, because wherever he went, Malcolm created brilliance, then burned the ground behind him. He didn't care who liked him. He cared who feared him. He didn't want peace. He wanted obedience. But by the end, there were no more battles to win. Just silence, and a long list of people who never called again. When the headlines stopped, so did the phone calls. There were no more jobs, no more titles to chase. No more stadiums chanting his name. Malcolm Allison, the man who once made English football sharper, faster, louder, was suddenly gone. Not forgotten, just avoided. He lived in hotels, sometimes borrowed money, sometimes disappeared. The swagger was still there, but the power was gone. No boardroom trusted him. No chairman wanted the smoke. No player wanted to be next on the list. He had changed the game, but the game erased the return address. And when he died, 14th October 2010, there were no fireworks. Just a slow funeral procession passing by the Manchester City Stadium. A single scarf was laid on his coffin. A final nod from the club he built and tore apart. There was no monument, but there were memories. And not all of them were kind. Some saw him as a genius. Some saw him as a destroyer. Most never really understood him. But everyone remembered what he left behind. Glory, scars, and silence. And if you believe silence shouldn't win, subscribe. Because this is what they don't put in the documentaries. This is what they never say out loud.